Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about insider trading for a minute. What is insider trading? Glad you asked. Insider trading, per Cornell law, is essentially someone with inside information on a company or non-public information that is used to turn around and then make stock market moves such as trades, buys, sells, and so forth of stocks with information that's not given to the public. And it has been criminalized by Congress because in their estimation, it is a violation of the fiduciary duty of the insider by using that information to profit or benefit off of the information they've obtained in secret or in confidence. So why are we talking about insider trading? Well, very recently, Nancy Pelosi and her husband have come back under fire. They've constantly been under scrutiny for their use of the stock market, but they're coming back under fire because Congress has been meeting to try and decide whether or not members of Congress and their families should be allowed to trade in the stock market because so much information is passed through them that it can lead someone to make bad decisions when it comes to insider trading. So, why is Nancy Pelosi such a big deal? Why is everybody making such a stink about Nancy Pelosi and her husband's trading habits? Well, let's take a look at her net worth and a little bit of her financial information. That's all public information. So, Nancy Pelosi has a salary of $210,000 per year, but somehow, magically, brings home about $1 million per month. Is that math not mathing right? Good, because it wasn't mathing right for me either. And she has a net worth of $135 million. So explain to me how someone makes $210,000 a year, manages to make $1 million a month, lives a lavish lifestyle, and still manages to have a $135 million net worth. Does that sound funny to you? It sounds funny to a lot of people, and that's why this has come into question and under so much scrutiny. A previous analysis of her financials showed that at one time she had a net worth of $46 million, with a vast majority, there's no percentage, but a vast majority of her net wealth coming from stock market trades between both her and her husband, Paul. And as Congress is mulling over whether or not to continue to allow Congress folk and their spouses to deal in the stock market, good old Paul Pelosi, Mr. DUI, has been making kind of a ruckus with some of the moves he's been making. He's doing an increase in buying, selling, trading, and so forth, which has put the spotlight on him a little bit because, yeah, they've been doing it. Yeah, they've been making money. But as the spotlight is focusing on potentially banning them from participating in the stock market, all of a sudden there's an uptick in all the buying and selling, almost like somebody's concerned it's going to go away and we better get the getting while the getting's good. So recently, Nancy Pelosi was at a press conference. I believe it was the 21st of this month, so only a couple days ago. She was doing a press conference and she was asked, hey, has your husband ever benefited via the stock market by making trades based off of information that he obtained from you? Take a look how that went.
Yes, sir. I think we have to go now. One more, he said. Yes, sir.
Over the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information he's received from you?
What are you saying?
So for those of you who have no experience in detecting lying or analyzing body language to try and figure out if someone's telling the truth or not. One of the many ways that people, and yeah, she may be old and hard of hearing, and that's what they'll blame it on, but one of the many ways that people, before they lie, when they're asked a tough question, before they lie, they will either repeat the question back to you, or they will do things like, what? I'm sorry, what did you say? Anything to delay their answer. And when you repeat the question back to them, they're not even listening. They're feigning like they're listening, but they're not even listening. Their brain is scanning for an answer. And this is how it went after that.
Over the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information he received from you?
No, absolutely not. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So after being asked the question again, her response is, no. And she immediately grabs the mic and pushes it out of the way and starts walking off and thank you, and takes off, ignoring the myriad of questions. And listen, I know, every time politicians walk off, if you stopped and paid attention to every question, you'd never get out of there. Like, I get it. But the reality is, everything about that answer was 100%. The body language, the nervous laughter when she said no, the immediately covering the microphone as like a defense mechanism to let me separate from this situation as quickly as possible. Everything about that was, yeah, I'm lying. I'm lying. And this is the problem that we run into in general with politics. There are too many politicians on both sides of the fence that are very much do as I say, not as I do. Could you imagine if you or I had inside information and we made trades on the stock market like that? The FBI or whoever the fuck is in charge for enforcing these laws would be at our doorstep arresting us. Just like all these fucking bonehead politicians and all these activists and all these other fucking high profile people that don't pay their taxes. You have prolific people in the Hollywood community, in the political community, all over the place. High profile people that are like 10 years back on taxes. Like, they haven't paid their taxes in 10 years and they get a slap on the wrist. But you or I would be in federal prison if we didn't pay our taxes. This is why people don't trust politicians. This is why people don't trust Congress. This is why people don't trust presidents. This is why people don't trust anyone who is supposed to be working for the betterment of the country. Because they do things like this. And that dumb bitch has the nerve to stand up there and question conservative senators, to question Trump. That dumb bitch has the nerve to stand up there and go, we need a January 6th committee to prove, like, the evidence is there. Trump is guilty. We need him to go to prison. Are you next? Because what you're doing is criminalized by the SEC. So are we going to start digging into the things that you're doing? Because again, I want to reiterate that you make $210,000 a year, but you bring home $1 million. You bring home per month on just under 5 times what your yearly salary is in 1 month. If the IRS saw any single one of us with those confusing numbers, they would be banging on our doors trying to arrest us because there's something shady going on. But the people in Congress, they're exempt. Presidents, they're exempt. Why is that? This is why nobody trusts you. This is why nobody can stand the sight of your face. And this is why people do stupid shit. Because they watch you get away with murder. while the rest of us have to live under the microscope that you're supposed to be standing under with us. I strongly suggest that we stop our witch hunts and we start going after the people that are actually, truly committing crimes with evidence of said crimes. These fucking liberals like to get out there and go, oh, the evidence is there. No. You see one tiny little thing and like to stretch it into what you think or perceive or trying to pass as evidence when it's not evidence. Meanwhile, you have shit like this. You have shit like Hunter Biden with his connections to communist China. You have Joe Biden. You have Joe Biden working with Hunter and trying to give oil to companies that Hunter owns that are overseas, that have ties to the Communist China Party and are funneling oil, American reserve oil, to the Communist Chinese Party. But we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about Nancy Pelosi's insider trading. We don't want to talk about Maxine Waters doing the exact same thing they're accusing Trump of doing January 6th. When Roe v. Wade got overturned and they are out there on the news going, people need to take to the streets. They do not need to settle for this. She is actually inciting people to take to the streets and riot. But nothing. But they want to hang the one man who was exposing all their bullshit over nothing. Shit's gonna get worse before it gets better. It's always darkest before the dawn.